find comments here. I think we're live. Yep, we're live.
Gonna join. Sure look like that. Ooh.
Alright everybody, it's me and Scout. We're back with another video, or a live stream, not a video. I'm stupid. Let us know that you can hear us.
I thought Mama Bear knows just said Mama Bear knows.
Mama Bear knows. She knows some stuff. That looks like,
Wow.
oh, Vicky Harper from Mama's Family. I used to watch Mama's Family. It's an old show. Hi, Katie.
Hi,
Sounds staticky.
everybody. If Rocky Man comes here, I'm kicking him out.
Hey, Bella. Or Bella.
Hear us.
Is this less staticky? Sometimes it's just my phone, my laptop fan that makes things
Ooh,
kind of weird.
Derek. Keep it PG. Don't forget I'm the mod.
Well, that's my man lover, Derek. He's the one I
Oh, is that
did.
the one that went on the live?
Yeah.
Oh! Hi! I'm just kidding. That was a good line. I like that one. You guys look like exactly the same.
I am much better looking than Derek.
You guys look related to me. I was the one who said that.
Derek, if you're
listening right now, I think you guys look like brothers. You can't tell me I'm wrong. Yeah, you I figured. Hi, Barbara.
His wife is so jealous of our friendship, I mean.
Oh, okay.
Because it's funny, like I keep messaging him. I'm like, when are you guys getting divorced? It's my turn. And she spilled all over herself.
That's the second time I've done that. I'm just like 5 minutes. It's because my lid, I have to drink it just from the lid because I lost my good lid with the straw. So now I have this stupid thing.
It makes for good TV.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, I just paid her $30 to spill something on herself. So
That looks like a piss.
yeah, Vicki Lawrence, Mama Bear knows that's her.
Oh, that camera does not do me justice.
No,
Ew.
no camera does you justice.
I know. Trust me.
Can you guys hear us better? Is there less static when I use my headphones?
I think I'm pretty far away. Okay, does it look better if I turn this off? That looks worse to me.
I'm gonna buy you a ring light.
It's because the ring light's my mom's, and she didn't like me using it because I didn't tell her why. So she just took it from me.
We'll take it out of the
Told me I
big
could
T
never touch it.
budget and we'll get you one.
The Ruffle? Do you mean a threesome? Oh, wait, no, that's not what I'm thinking of. Never mind. Don't include me in any of this, please, Derek. I know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that to me.
Hi, Barbara and Katie. All right, I guess people can hear us better. Sounds better. Okay. So we got 13 people. Go ahead and hit that like button for me, and hopefully that'll get more people in here. If you can share this live stream, that'll be great as well. We're trying to get more and more people to join these. I get a lot less people on these than I do my regular Hangout lives. So maybe it's because it's Wednesday, and usually my Hangout lives are Saturdays, so I don't know.
Why don't you buy me stuff, Derek? Why don't you send me any money?
He's too busy sending me money. I bought you a diamond ring, and you just gave it to your wife, so I don't want to hear it, Derek.
Well, we got people from Albania and Mexico.
Hello, Garlic Breath and Farts. Hello, Brenda. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying my videos. I'm glad somebody does.
I don't.
Yeah, because you haven't been watching them.
Exactly. I just hate them so much. They all suck. I'm just here out of pity.
Yep.
And so I can get more clout.
It's like I just cry to her all the time, like, please come on my show. There's no ratings unless you're on.
Oh, no, I feel like I get the least amount of people. That's probably because I only have like almost 500 subs. Guys, go sub to me.
Derek has no
Why are you
subs,
doing that?
and he had the most amount of viewers.
I know, that was crazy. Well, no, I think Megan did.
Megan did? Okay.
I think Megan and then Derek.
I don't really pay attention as much when I'm doing these. I just watch them later, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think you almost got like up to 50 at some point with Derek, right?
Yeah, it was pretty close up there.
Wasn't it also on a Saturday though?
Was it? I think it was on a Thursday, maybe? Or a Tuesday? No, it was not a Tuesday. It was probably a Thursday.
Well, I didn't even announce it until just now, so probably like 5 people know about it.
Yeah. I am recording with Megan Ann tomorrow, finally.
Oh, like you're gonna do like a collab video?
Yeah, we're going to talk about our weight loss experience, our weight loss surgery experience, and compare it to my 600-pound life. So I'm going to be on her
Whose
channel,
channel's gonna
which
be on? Oh, okay.
hopefully pushes me over 6,000 subs.
Garlic Breath and Farts. My name is Scout, and I also have a channel similar to Tony's where I talk about like fat acceptance stuff, but I'm just better at doing it, and I'm a lot meaner, so I'm less likable. But you know what? If you want to sub to me, I'm not gonna stop you. I'll just make you. So sub to me now.
Yeah,
You're on
Scout
now?
is like the other part of me that, the one that just says whatever and doesn't care what people think. I'm too
Yeah.
nice. She's not so nice, so that's why we work well together.
Bye, Brenda. Oh, and Katie. Why'd you even come then? Just kidding.
ADD only SLL.
I think. Wait, you mean all or SLL? Because I don't know what SLL means. So long, losers. That's what it means.
So long.
It's kind of rude. If that was what that meant.
Like I said, Scout has no filter, so.
Yeah, I'm way more interesting to watch because I think people have an excuse to be a lot meaner to me if they wanted to be. So if you like to hate on people's videos, you can go hate on mine because it just gives me more money.
Yeah, it gives her so much personal power when somebody gets angry on her channel, so. It just hurts
It's
my
okay, Katie. I was
feelings.
just kidding.
You only watch
Yeah,
10
I'm usually
minutes
here
at
for
a time. All right, so let's get into it. We have about 20 people watching right now, so this is a good place to start. I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Sorry I didn't have an exact time. She just got back from an appointment. I have a church thing going on here in about an hour and a half or so. So we're just like, we'll do it whenever this afternoon. So today we are talking about childhood obesity. And it's a very interesting topic. The last 2 days, I've been doing videos on that. I've been reacting to a Dr. Phil episode where he had two families come on with obese kids. One was a 14-year-old who was 500 pounds. The other one was a 4-year-old who was 120 pounds. And they really asked a lot of good questions. And they also had Jillian Michaels, who I do not like on there. But in the first example, they had the 14-year-old who was 500 pounds, and social services actually took him out of the home and put him with a family member. And I thought that was very, very interesting because that's the first time I actually heard about that happening with anybody who was obese. And there was a lot of mixed reaction. I actually lost a handful of subscribers when I did that video because I guess people didn't like my take on it as well because it seemed like I was advocating for kids to be taken out of the home, and I was probably pushing too hard to call it child abuse. But that really wasn't where my perspective was. I was more in the middle, just trying to figure out and asking the question, should kids be taken out of the home? Not really saying that they should, because I know that's a difficult thing. I know it's not an easy question, and I do know that a lot of the time it is ignorance, and it's not an intentional thing where parents are intentionally making their kids fat. But at some point, it does become child abuse. Scout, do you have anything you'd like to add there?
Um, I agree with you, and I watched that video, and you did say multiple times that like you kind of went back and forth between whether or not it was child abuse, like with that specific situation, because there's obvious the mom cared about her kid, but also she was also doing that to herself, and yet the kid was the one who suffered the most consequences. And once he was taken out of that situation, he lost 300 pounds. So obviously
Yeah,
she was the problem. And once he started going back to her, he plateaued his weight. So she's the problem in that situation. But I also get like lower income families probably rely a lot on cheaper foods, faster and more easily accessible foods, and they are not always around to like regulate their kids' nutrition and whatever. Like I get that. Sometimes you don't have a choice. But also there's a huge difference between like occasionally getting fast food just because it's cheaper and more accessible and like letting your kids eat it compared to like your kids getting up to like 500 pounds at age 14.
mm-hmm.
Because you have to try to get there. You have to do more than try to get there. And as a parent, you see that happening to your kid. And if you don't do anything about it, then that's your fault because you know you're doing it. You know your kid is suffering and you know you can change it, but you're not.
Yeah,
So there is an intention there. Maybe it's not to hurt the kid, but you're not doing anything about it.
yeah. Someone said that foster care is traumatic, and so you should never take the kid out of the home for that. And my response to that is, so is being 500 pounds. It's probably even
Yeah,
more traumatic than being in a foster home. So, I mean, I understand that ripping kids away from their homes is probably never a good idea unless it's severe abuse. But when does obesity become a childhood abuse type situation? It's not going to be a specific weight, but when you have a 14-year-old who's 500 pounds and on his way to being near death, and somebody mentioned that that kid might have actually died. I can't confirm that. I couldn't go find it. So I don't know if he did later die or not. So don't, tell me whether or not, if you go and find that he's still alive, then definitely that's a good thing if he's still alive. But there are kids who are dying from childhood obesity. And I just don't think that we are taking it seriously when it comes to kids. I think we just tend to think, oh, well, he's got a little bit of weight on him. That's baby fat. That's this or that. And um, but we try to excuse it. And then when it gets worse and worse, it's like, well, there's nothing I can do because now he has a food addiction. Now she just can't stop eating. And um, just really a lot of questions about when does it become child abuse.
Elizabeth Earl Walker says, I wonder if there were other things at play, like a hoarder situation, unsafe living conditions, medical neglect for a certain condition, etc., but leaving that out makes it more dramatic for TV. Well, it was confirmed that the mom also struggled with eating, I guess, an eating disorder. I don't know if they actually diagnosed it, but she struggled with food, and that she passed that on to her kid, and so there were some things that they probably kept out. But I think if you boil it down, she was just a low income single mother who struggled with an eating addiction, and she passed that along to her kid. And it got to the point where the kid had to be removed from that home in order to, you know, get better from that. And she was the problem in his life, but he like can't or won't put the blame on her. And I get it because that's his mom, but I think part of changing is also accepting why you got to that, like why you got that way, because that's like the first step when you start losing weight is like accept that you did that to yourself.
Mm.
But I think it's also okay to accept that maybe like something in your life that happened caused you to do that too, because it's not always like of course it boils down to you did that to yourself, you were the one feeding yourself, but it also could have been from something traumatic or a problematic parent, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the big comments I got from a lot of people too. It's like, well, he was 14 years old. He should have known what he was doing. He was doing it to himself. Why are you blaming the mom? But it's like he didn't turn 14 and suddenly he gained 400 pounds.
Exactly.
Like this has been going on since he was a little kid. Like, to get there, it takes years. It takes a long time to get up to that size. So it's not like it was just a year and it happened. So yeah, I mean, if you're with a parent who has no restrictions when it comes to food, and she said all sorts of things like, oh, I work overtime a lot, and I end up buying fast food and stuff. But to be that heavy at that young age, just think of how many
Yeah.
calories he was eating every
Yeah.
single day to get to that size. And then as soon as they took him out of the home, he lost 300 pounds.
Yeah, I think with her kind of hiding behind, I was working, I struggled too. I think she was using those more as excuses than like just contributing factors, because she never admitted that it was her fault. Really, it was
Yep.
just, oh well, yeah, that happened, but I didn't do it on purpose. Yeah, but you still did it, and you watched it happen.
Yeah.
Because he hit 200 pounds, he hit 300 pounds, 400, 500, and you didn't do anything about it. People had to take him away from you, and when they gave it back to you, you were still doing it.
Yeah,
So you
because
didn't change.
yeah, his weight loss stopped as soon as he went back home. Um, Katie, that's absolutely right. A child cannot become 500 pounds without parental enabling.
Yeah, you
I
can't
mean,
buy the food.
yeah, that's absolutely true too. Like the mom buys the food, the mom brought home the food, the mom either cooked the food or ordered the food. Like he has no money, he doesn't have a job. Like how
Or
responsible are you at 14 years old when it comes to your own diet? Especially something that's
exactly.
been going on since he was a little kid.
Exactly.
Thanks, Hannah. Happy Wednesday to you. It's hump day. It's my favorite
I don't
day.
know that.
Huh? You haven't heard of hump day?
No, I have. I just
Oh,
didn't know it was someday.
oh, yeah, Wednesday's hump day. By the way,
But anyone else?
how fast is
Huh?
this week going?
How fast has this week been going for me?
Yeah.
It's been pretty slow, honestly, because I've had tests and like school's almost over, so this is gonna be like the slowest 3 weeks of my life. And I have like finals probably. I have one next week, but that one's gonna be easy. I think I have a math test next week, and that's gonna be scary because it's vectors.
Hmm.
They're
Maybe
not that hard though.
maybe it's because I'm old, but the weeks just fly by now. And I remember when I was in high school, it seemed like it dragged on. But then I blinked and I graduated high school, and then now here I am 20 years later since I graduated high school. It's like the weeks are flying by, and all my old friends are like, "Yeah, this is a fast week." And then I'll talk
Yeah.
to my nieces, "Yeah, it was a slow week. I don't know what you're talking about."
Hey, what are you doing? Or when? You scared me. When? I'll get back. I'll tell you in a second. Sorry. Close the door. Thanks. I live with my family, so that's gonna happen sometimes when I go on lives.
You can go
I
deal with
can't
that if you need to.
No one knows I have a YouTube channel, so I kind of have to explain myself. Sorry, everybody. I just got jump scared by my sister, so that was on me. I can't lock my door either, though I don't think that's really necessary. She just doesn't knock. So where were we? I probably don't have much longer, so I might have to cut it short, but we'll see.
Hannah says, I think having stuff in the house definitely makes an impact on a child's diet. I know it did for me. Yeah, I mean, it's the stuff that
Yeah,
you're going to buy. Like, usually if a kid becomes overweight, it's because the parents are also overweight, either one of them or both of them, or there's just a major dysfunction with food within the family somewhere.
I will say both of my parents are very active and very healthy and like health oriented. So it's weird to think that like me got super unhealthy and like got all these. They were the ones that started me on personal training because looking back, they're like, this is getting a bit out of control. They were doing the right thing, forcing me to exercise, and eventually I started loving it. and because I got me with a good trainer. She was really nice. We were like good friends, and like if you have a good relationship with them, it makes all the difference. But then we have a family friend who my mom was like, oh, if you wanted to like talk to her about anything with nutrition, that'd be cool. And so after I talked to her, I wanted to do everything myself. And something I was going to say about kids having access to like unhealthy foods. My high school is just across the street from a Jack in the Box, a Taco Bell, a pizza place, and a store that sells all this food. And I would walk over there every day and get the same meal. And I would split it with my friend. But it was a very heavy, unhealthy meal. And I would get it like every day with my own money because I had a job. And I was like 16 though, so I had pretty easy access because a lot of restaurants are in walking distance for me. So it kind of depends on where you live and just your level of income, and maybe not even your parents' income, just your own.
Yeah, my high school was across the street from a McDonald's, and I remember kids would always leave campus and go there for lunch. And then I worked at that same McDonald's for 2 years, and it always got busy with high school students during lunchtime and after school. Hi, Murph. Hi, Charles. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining. And Huntress Derizla Nightshade. I don't know if I said hi to
Oh,
you
look at
yet.
that! We're almost to 30 with me here. People like me, I guess.
Maybe. That's why I keep
Yeah,
bringing you on, because you bring in clips and views, and
not as much as Derek, who I don't think is here anymore. Derek left us.
Derek left because I wasn't paying attention to him.
Derek is jealous. Okay, bye, Katie. I don't
Bye,
know how much
Katie.
longer this is gonna be, but thank you. So I might have to go.
You think
Take a
she's
nap.
gonna, your sister's gonna go tell your mom you're doing something shady?
Nah, she's not the tattletale.
Mm.
The older sister's the tattletale, believe it or not. But
All right, I
no,
guess.
Sawyer's like my buddy.
Okay. I'm going to check out an article real quick that I just found.
Hello, Huntress Drusilla Nightshade. Oh, you got a long name.
All right. So let me know if you guys can see this. Probably not. Give me a second. All right.
Derek, liar, you did leave. Your heart left.
So
And by the way, I used to live in Florida, so I feel your pain. Florida sucks. And it's really weird over there.
all right, I found this article really quick, and it's from The Guardian. So just to show you the seriousness of childhood obesity, there was actually a Welsh couple charged with causing morbidly obese daughter's death. Newtown
They got
parents,
charged.
Newtown parents allegedly failed to meet dietary and health needs of Kayla Titford, 16, in first lockdown. The parents of a teenage girl from Wales, I don't know if you guys can see it very well or not, a girl from Wales have appeared in court charged with causing their daughter's death by allowing her to become morbidly obese and not getting medical help for her.
Right now?
This,
Okay. Sorry.
you gotta go?
Yeah, but you can keep going.
All right.
Sorry I had to leave. This was just came up. So
All right, bye.
bye. Thanks for having me. Bye everyone. LOL.
All right, sorry, people. Anyways, the parents of a teenage girl from Wales have appeared in court charged with causing their daughter's death by allowing her to become morbidly obese and not getting medical help for her. She was 16, was found dead at her home in Newtown, Powys, in October of 2020. Her father, Alan Titford, 44, and her mother, Sarah Lloyd Jones, 39, are charged with gross negligence, manslaughter, and causing or allowing the death of a child or vulnerable person. It is alleged that between March 24th and October 11th, they failed to ensure her dietary needs were met, leading to morbid obesity. According to the charge, they did not ensure she got enough exercise, was in hygienic condition, lived in a safe and hygienic environment, that her physical health was maintained, or that reasonable medical help was sought. The pair appeared before Welshpool Magistrates Court on Tuesday and stood together in the dock wearing face masks. They spoke only to confirm their names, ages, and address and did not enter any pleas. Helen Tench, prosecuting, asked both defendants to remain on conditional bail and to not have contact with anyone under the age of 18. An earlier inquest hearing was told that Kayla had spina bifida and had multiple medical issues through her life. She was pronounced dead by paramedics at 8:12 a.m. on October 10th, 2020. The girl's parents will next appear before Mold, Crown, and North Wales, etc. So, this is just sad, right? This is just very, very sad that 16-year-old kids, and when I talk about obesity, I'm often saying that there's delayed consequences. It doesn't always pop up, and it could be years, decades, 20 years down the line before you start feeling it because your body really starts breaking down. But here was a 16-year-old girl who died from obesity. And I think just saying that just reveals how complex and devastating the issue of childhood obesity is. You know, it's just absolutely devastating. Um, and so for parents not to take obesity seriously, for them to neglect their child in that way, and I think if we talked about it in the other end of the spectrum, if kids were too skinny, if kids were had their ribs poking out because they were not eating, they were starving their kids, I think that 100% of you would probably say we need to take that kid out of the house, that that kid is being abused. Um, I don't know if I'm still on the screen or not. Hang on a second. There, I'm back. Sorry. Just going through some of the comments here. I miss high school. I miss high school too. It was 2004 when I graduated, and I often think back to high school, and it was really one of the more normal times of my life, and I often miss it. I used to go to Little Caesars in the 80s. It was good then. My PE teacher would call me Pizza Pizza because I wore this Little Caesars shirt, and I was always the chubby kid. And so he would always call me Pizza Pizza, which was their little slogan. My daughter's 8-year-old friend is 200 pounds. Her 16-year-old sister is over 400 pounds. They are now living with grandma, being active and losing weight. Wow, that's great, breaking insanity cycle. That's absolutely what needs to happen. Like, when they get that big, you know it's an issue with the parents. They are being abused. And like I was absolutely saying, like if it was on the other end of the spectrum and kids were not eating enough, you would definitely be 100% for taking those kids out of the home because they're being abused. And so we need to consider that the other end of the spectrum, if they are super morbidly obese, is also part of that issue. That also should be taken care of in some way. And I'm not saying that the answer is always to take them out of the home, but we need to consider whether or not the parents are educated or whether or not they're being abusive, even if it's unintentional abuse, that it needs to be considered, that CPS needs to step in, or social services, or somebody needs to step in and say, all right, your kid's getting pretty big. And we're not talking just a little chubby. We're not talking has, 20, 30 pounds on them. We're talking 100 pounds overweight or more. That needs to be figured out when they're a kid, because by the time they get to my age, by the time they get in their 30s, even in their 20s, if they live that long, it's going to become such a major issue that their body's going to be broken down. They might not be able to fix it, because once you become bedridden, they say that's it. You may or may not find a surgeon who will do surgery on you when you're that big. And if they don't, you're kind of stuck because you can get too big for them to do surgery on you. It's absolutely true. So getting that big to that point when no medical science can help you, when there's no tests that can be run on you, when they have to cut a hole in your freaking wall just to get you out of the house. I mean, at what point do we just realize that something bad is going on? It needs to be taken care of. I mean, that's a difficult question to have answered. I've seen many people where I work that are very young and super morbidly obese. Yeah, it is a growing problem. I think I just read a stat from the CDC that said 1 in 5 adolescents are considered obese. 1 in 5, and that number is continuing to grow. So we're getting to a point now where almost every single kid that you see is going to be technically obese. Because it's also getting to a point where most of them are inside. They're on their TikTok, they're playing video games, they're on the computer, and they refuse to go outside. There's less socialization amongst kids these days. There's less kids playing sports. There's less kids just doing normal kid things. They're not outside wandering around and doing what I did as a kid, which is I pretended I was a Power Ranger going around and doing karate moves and getting exercise and riding my bike all over the neighborhood and trampoline wrestling and swimming and playing football. And that's just becoming less and less of a norm. Um, Maybe you live in an area that's a little more active. I mean, where I live, I see kids outside every day when the weather is pretty nice. So that's good. I like to see that. They're running around, they're riding bikes, they're just playing and out having fun. So I think that's good. But we're seeing more and more kids not doing that. And they're getting bigger. And because they're sedentary and they're eating all this high processed crap, they are gaining weight. And if anybody just joined me, I just read about a 16-year-old girl in Wales who died from her obesity. So you could absolutely die at 16 years old from obesity. So let me know down in the comments, like, what do you guys think about this? And I'll read your comments off as they come in. But what do you think can be done? What should we do? And should we take obesity more seriously amongst adolescents and kids? No problem, Nina. Scout had to leave early. She had something come up. So I might not be on too much longer because I got to run to church as well. So this is a conversation we will definitely continue probably at another time. So it's okay. Gonna bounce, loving the discussion. As a fat kid, I'd continue this discussion with you later too. All right, Derek, have a good one. Have a great evening. Enjoy your dinner. You're a GI Joe. My dad didn't want to see us inside as children. Yeah, I mean it was very often like go outside and play, kids. Like that was common. I think schools do have nutrition education, right? I don't know if it's an elective or not, but I know I had nutrition classes and I had home ec classes and sex education classes. Like those are all part of the curriculum. But I don't know. I just don't know how helpful it was because I continued getting bigger. But I think everybody knows what you shouldn't be eating. But I think what the government teaches is absolutely wrong. So if we say more educational classes in the classroom where they're going to teach them the food pyramid, and the food pyramid is 100% wrong. So I think we start there by changing the government recommendations of what you should be eating because so many people think they need to be eating more carbohydrates because that's at the bottom of the food pyramid. And so they think they need more grains, they need more of that. And at the top, you have the meats and the fats, which you should be eating more of, but they have that as sparingly. Yeah, that they have the sweets at the very, very top. But what they don't say is that the carbohydrates at the bottom of the pyramid act on your body the same way that the sweets act at the very top of the pyramid. Because any carbohydrates you do not burn off stores in your body as fat. So yeah, I mean they're definitely finding more and more research about sugar, about carbohydrates. So it's not just some keto conspiracy, but definitely. And I'm not saying all carbs are bad. I'm not saying cut all carbs out of your diet. So please don't come at me with that. There are good carbs and there are vegetable carbs that you should be eating. I do eat on occasion some vegetable carbs. That's not a big deal. So I'm not saying cut all carbs out of your diet and go strict keto, but there is more research, and I did a video on it not too long ago about carbohydrates and what they do to the body, and I'll probably do more videos on it in the not too future. Um, my mom always said, "Go play in traffic." Bump the content up on nutrition. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to do that, Barb. Like, the thing is with my channel, when I do more talks about nutrition, there's fewer people that watch. So it might be something I do once I get more subscribers. And so right now, a lot of my content is tailored towards getting more subscribers. Even though I do great content, I do educational content. But I think as we get bigger, definitely, as we have more conversations, and a lot of these big talks with Big T are meant to educate and inform and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that we need to do. We need to educate people more and get the word out there. And I hope I could get Obese to Beast on. I'm gonna probably have Megan Ann on again. There's definitely some people, Kayla Shea, that we definitely want to educate people more. No problem. Iluzu. Hi, Sour Squids. Good to see ya. Charles says too much fast food consumption. That's true. That's another big part of the issue. Um, Definitely a lot of parents. There's a lot of two-parent homes now where both parents are working. And so neither parent wants to come home and cook. So what do? They bring home fast food. And then they're in complete amazement and wondering why their kid is getting so big. Food pyramid was a study paid for by Big Horn. Okay. I did a video on that, and I thought it was more of the big sugar corporations who paid for that lie. Apparently, it was back when a certain president, I think it was Johnson or somebody, had a heart attack, and so all these scientists were trying to figure out why he had a heart attack, and they blamed it on fat. And that's why we got in the 80s and 90s this big campaign against fat. And so they started taking fat out of things. And so you had all these low fat products show up. But what they did to replace the flavor of fat, because fat is flavor, is they started pumping sugar into it. So once they started doing that and talking about how a low fat diet is healthy for you, obesity skyrocketed. And they wondered why. And there's so many people like, oh, I tried this diet and I tried that diet and I do all this low fat stuff and I'm gaining weight. I don't understand why. And it's because there's a ridiculous amount of sugar in these low fat products that make them taste good. So that's just what's been going on since the 80s and 90s. And obesity continues to skyrocket. And there's so many people who have no idea what healthy food is anymore because the government's been lying to them. The government's scientists have been paid and bought for by big corn, by big sugar, by these corporations that try to make sugar out to be the good guy and try to make fat out to be the bad guy. But anybody who's done keto absolutely knows that once you start cutting sugar and carbohydrates, you start burning fat. So it's just the way your body absolutely works. Your body has two sources of fuel, either sugar or fat. So if you eat sugar in abundance, what you do not burn off in a day is stored on your body as fat. But if you start cutting down your carbohydrates and your sugar, your body sort of like freaks out for a little bit, and it's like, I have no fuel. What am I going to do? So it starts eating the fuel that it stored. So it doesn't have to be a keto diet, though. Even if you do low calorie diet, that does make your body start reaching for different types of fuel, which is your stored fat. So if you have fat storing on your body, there's a reason for that. And the reason is because you're taking in more than you're burning. Whether it's calories, whether it's sugar, whatever it is, you're taking in more than your body is burning. And so it's storing that for later. And so now all your fat is just stored energy. That's all it is. It's stored energy. And to get it off, you have to be in a deficit. So your body is like, I don't have enough of this. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough calories. I don't have enough sugar. And so it's going to start eating at the reserves, and that's how you lose weight. So definitely a big conspiracy, and the government is 100% behind it. My physicians discourage carbs and grains, so that's good of them. I have not taught the food pyramid in years. I graduated in 2015, and we had the plate already, only a quarter plate carbs, quarter protein, and half veggies. Okay. Well, I'm glad that schools are getting away from the food pyramid then, Elizabeth. Which, by the way, I love the name Elizabeth. If the Lord blesses me with a daughter, I want to name her Elizabeth. And it's mainly after Queen Elizabeth I, not the second one, even though she was a good woman that I know of. I don't know of anything bad she's done. But I love British history and Queen Elizabeth I, and so I'd love to name a daughter that. Yep, definitely processed food in grocery stores. I mean, you go to this huge, massive grocery store, and what do you find in there? Like the vast majority of it is just processed garbage and frozen foods and all that stuff. It's black. Huntress says it's amazing what the food industry gets away with and falsely representing foods as healthy when they really aren't. So a lot of families will buy those products thinking it is wholesome. That's 100% true. Like if you go down the cereal aisle in particular, not only do they have all these bright colors and stuff and advertise it to kids, but the parents will read on the box, it has all these whole grains in it. It's perfectly healthy. Your kids should be eating this stuff so they can get their recommended daily allotment of grains. And so parents think, oh, this is great. We're feeding them what they need to have. But not only is it very high in carbs, it's also so high in sugar that it just completely destroys their body. And not to mention dye. So I'm one of those persons who has researched dyes like red dye and stuff in food and the behavioral issues as a result of that. Like we're seeing so many problems because of just the food that we're eating. I meant the schools, okay? I'd definitely be interested in more educational content. Well, it's definitely coming, Sour Squids. Thanks, Barbara. You liked my video this morning, Nina? Man, it was so hard for me to make that video because every once in a while I get really vulnerable and tell my own stories of things I went through. But when you're telling people that you can't even wipe yourself, I mean, before when you're so big that you couldn't even wipe yourself, I mean, that is very difficult. So if you have not watched my video this morning, please go watch it. It was interesting, to say the least. Lazy Bones, hello, good to see you. Hi, in European here in French schools, they absolutely banned all fast food, junk or anything processed. You can't even give kids ketchup. All lunches are traditional cuisine. Well, that's a great start because most of the school lunches that I had when I went to school 20 years ago, it was processed. It was like breaded chicken sandwiches. It was spaghetti. It was whatever. There was nothing really healthy. Maybe you had a little bit of a salad or a little bit of fruit, but the fruit was packed in that sugary syrup. So there was really no opportunity to eat well in school unless you brought your own lunch. And now more schools are putting fast foods in their restaurant or in their cafeterias. And so it's just getting worse. Yeah, Huntress. I mean, it's very, very telling what people in Europe and all over the world they do not allow in their schools, but we do because it's all about money. Yes, in France, I ate high quality meals that I made with fat and vegetables. My triglycerides and cholesterol were excellent. Yeah, that's true. When you eat a high fat diet, I mean, they've lied to you about what fat does. They say all this fat, it increases your cholesterol and it kills you. No, people who do the keto diet, their blood pressure lowers, their good cholesterol increases, their bad cholesterol decreases, and overall, they get healthier in that way. They even lose their fatty liver when you do keto. So I know keto's not for everybody. I try not to push it on anybody. There are so many different diets that work if you stick with it. I also recommend Weight Watchers. That's a good diet if you could stick with it. So, I mean, there's just different things that you can do to lose weight. I try not to stick to any fad diet, but anything that has a deficit in it where you're not eating as many calories, you can pick the program that will better work for you. If that's keto, if that's Weight Watchers, if that's Jenny Craig, if that's a program that has a calorie deficit and you can stick to it, then you can do it. Like, do any diet that'll help you out that way. All that is so sweet. Always loved having two queens with my name. Off topic, but what is it about Queen Elizabeth the First that you like? Um, well, she did usher in a golden age. And I think coming from her history with the way that her dad was, um, and then Queen Anne, and being killed and everything else, for her to just come up, and I know she was a bit irrational at times. I'm currently reading a book on her, about autobiography, and I've watched the movies, and I know that's not 100% factual, but I mean, she was just a powerful woman, and she was able to bring England into a golden age, and it really prospered under her rule. So she was able to figure some stuff out, despite her mom being murdered, and just the sad affairs that her dad brought to the kingdom. Just how many wives he's murdered and persecuted people, and I don't know. And I thought she was more fair too with Protestants and Catholics, even though she was a Protestant. She seemed to be more fair religiously from what I'm reading. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't know. It's just there's something about her that I just really, really liked. That type of woman, I guess, I'd be more interested in. Just a strong personality. Um, yeah, I guess that's just it. Hey, Big T, I won't be active in the chat, but I'm listening. I want to show support. Thanks, Daniela. Yes, Elizabeth is a beautiful name. Your video about the grossest things about being obese was so vulnerable and powerful. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Really be interested to hear your thoughts in a future video about how the fat liberation movement takes a lot of rhetoric that is actually meant for people recovering from restrictive EDs. Okay. So, what you can do if you have a suggestion for me and you want me to react to this, send me an email. It's bigtbariatric, all one word, at gmail.com. Bigtbariatric at gmail.com. When people put topics and suggestions in comments like this or in comments on my videos, they're within my sight for a short moment of time and then I lose it. And because I have ADHD, it's harder for me to go back to it. But if you send me an email, I check my email often. I'll be able to go back to it and see that comment again, and it's more likely I'll be able to cover that topic. So if you have something, anybody really, if you have anything you would like to send me a suggestion, that's great. There's also in the description of my videos, there's all kinds of links if you want to join the Big T family. If you want to join my Facebook page, if you want to join my Twitter, there's a link to my Discord there. There's also the link or the bigtbariatric at gmail.com. So my email link is in there as well. And if you want to help financially support the channel and me, there's links to my PayPal, which you can send a donation directly. And there's a link to my Patreon. And on Patreon, I do create special content that's not on my YouTube. So I was trying to raise some money for a desk and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to do that. To make my channel better, I need some better equipment, and so I did create a Patreon for that to raise money and to help me get through this difficult time as well. So if you want to support me, support the channel. If you want to join our Discord, there's over 100 members in there. Join our Facebook page. I try to put as much content on there or my Twitter as possible, and I'm still working on an Instagram. I just wanted to let everybody know here that if there was any way you wanted to become a part of the Big T family, there's lots of ways of doing it. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, school lunches in the UK haven't changed much from what you just described. It's usually pizza or pasta pot, or a main meal with some sort of processed mystery meat. Yeah, it's pizza, it's chicken sandwiches, it's just not the stuff that you wouldn't even find at McDonald's. Like if you've had a McChicken at McDonald's, the chicken sandwiches I had in school were very, very similar. So looking good, sir. Thanks for being so open on your video. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate that. I went through some gross stuff when I was 100 pounds heavier. Yeah, I mean, the bigger you get, the harder it is to do very simple things like using the bathroom or, whatever. It just takes a huge toll on you. I would recommend reading about the effects of colonialism after learning about the Queen. There's a lot of damage done to the world. So you're saying Queen Elizabeth damaged the world? Off topic, are you cold now that you have lost 200 pounds? I'm cold now. I haven't gotten to that point where I was more cold, but I'm just waiting to see what summer is going to be like. Because summer, I am usually pretty hot in the summer, and I don't like it above 80 degrees, which it doesn't really get that hot too much here in Michigan. Usually it stays in the 70s and in some mid 80s throughout the summer. We only get like a few days of 90s throughout the year, maybe a week max. So it doesn't get too hot here in Michigan. But I'm interested to see if I overheat this year, because all this fat is like wearing a big old parka, but outside in the heat, and so I always overheat very easily in the summertime. So winter, it wasn't that big of a difference, but maybe next winter will be different because I plan to lose another 100, 200 pounds by then. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm more interested to see what happens this summer because I'd love to be able to get out more and enjoy my summer without having to be stuck inside with a fan or an air conditioner blowing. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate that $20 donation. Sending my love and support for your weight loss goals. Thank you very much. The hamburgers at our school district were actually soy. They were gross. Ugh. That is gross. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end it here. I do have to get ready to go to church. They have a special prayer meeting tonight, so I said I would be there. So I'm going to take off. But I hope this was an interesting discussion for you, that you got something out of it. And we're definitely going to continue it. I will get Scout back on here at some point, and we'll continue this discussion. I'll probably get my friend Derek back on here. I'll get Megan Ann back on here. I'll get Kayla Shea back on here. And if you're interested, if you have a weight loss story, if you had weight loss surgery, if you have something you would like to talk about and come on my Big Talks with Big T, you are invited to come on with me. And just send me an email, bigtbariatric@gmail.com, and I will definitely work on trying to get you on here. There's a few people I said I'd try to get on here as well who sent me emails. So I got to go back and look through my emails and try to set something up with those people. But yeah, definitely if you're interested in coming on and having a chat with me, that door is open. So thank you very much for joining me. I love you all.